My name is Benjamin Hagwood here at the Vancouver Debate Academy. And today we're going to talk about a few bad habits that debaters have, specifically four. First, we'll spend some time talking about how debaters tend to still prep as a habit. That means that they do things in a round that takes additional time. And it may not seem like this is a thing that's problematic or that's something they shouldn't do, but the problem is it takes that time away from their opponent and it's cheating. Oh, hold up, that's not right. My clock's a little bit off, just a little bit. But I can go, it's fine. Are you all ready? Judges, are you ready? Oh, okay. Partner, you ready? Okay. Let me set my timer and then we can talk about where we're gonna go. I tell you, it's so hard to open this app. I just don't even know where it is. It's okay. But before I get started, verbal or nonverbal POIs are fine. I'm just gonna have a drink of water. I've been having a little bit of a cough. Okay. Is anyone not ready? Let me put my cup back. Okay. In today's debate, that is my time. All right. Are my opponents ready? Judges, ready. In today's speech, the second thing we're going to talk about is non-verbal communication. What do you do when you're in a round and your opponent says something that you disagree with? Are you as still as can be? Or do you emote as much as possible? Do you make faces? Do you try to get the judge's attention? Well, these are forms of non-verbal communication that could be harmful to you as a speaker. Additionally, sometimes we move our bodies in ways that's really weird when we get excited and we start reading, because the rhythm of how we read can dictate how our body reacts. Our opponents would have you believe that we should only care about consumers, but that doesn't even make sense because consumers choose to do this or not. It's no reasons why they wouldn't do it. And we should also be thinking about free-to-play models. I mean, because that's way more important. The fact that you don't have to pay for a game means anyone can get it. Hello, that's important because that means that more people play, more people have fun. And yeah, everyone can't win, but that's life. You can just play again. It doesn't make a difference. And like they keep talking about finances, but I don't even know why we're talking about finances. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Banning microtransactions would be good because it prevents exploitation of consumers. So many times people want the things that are in the game and think that it's not real money because you're spending it in the game. But what they don't realize is they actually end up spending more money on a game that they paid a very small amount for. We see games like Fortnite give this example, where you pay nothing to download the game, but there are endless customizations that you can buy within the game. And that all becomes part of the larger culture that allows customers to end up spending more on a game than they would initially spend. The third habit we're going to discuss today are the different speaking traits that students take when giving speeches. The first type is called cheerleading, or being extremely boastful of yourself and your argument without actually responding to anything that your opponent has said. Lots of times debaters will do this because they believe that they're winning, but they're not engaging the actual arguments of their opponent, instead just telling everyone why they are the best. And that is not what argumentation is. As I speak to you, you'll find yourselves captivated by the eloquence of my words, the precision of my diction, and the compelling rhythm of my discourse. More importantly, think about the conversation we're having here. Our opponents make you believe that for some reason, that people's choice are taking away, but it's not. You're nothing but free of choice, and free choice is good. I love having free choice. I think free choice is the best thing that we can have because it allows everyone to really focus on what they want in life, because free choice is good. Also remember that we're winning this debate because all we have to do is prove why choice is good, and that's what we're doing. Choice is the best thing that you can do any single day of the week. Our opponent has done a really good job of telling you why they believe they've won the debate, but the problem is they've not compared their arguments to our arguments. They've only talked about their arguments, and it's for that reason we think we should win the debate. First, we tell you that microtransactions should be banned because it exploits consumers. And their response was, well, I mean, it doesn't matter if it exploits consumers, those people should be thinking about it. Well, that's not our point. Our point is that the game is set up in a way that allows for people to be taken advantage of, and it creates uneven playing fields in the actual game, which takes away from the actual joy. If you can't spend the money on the thing, on whatever the portion of the game is, then how are you expected to have as much fun? And if they set the game up that way, it means they're specifically targeting people that would struggle with that concept. And that is why we believe you should ban. The second form of speaking trait that students can have is being extremely aggressive or rude. And they do this by attacking their opponent. They would like to belittle their opponent and make their opponent feel that their thoughts and their opinions are not valid in a debate. Or they try to tell their opponent that they've done something that's wrong. And in that instance, they're no longer qualified to speak on the subject. This type of argumentative bullying is not a practice that you should have. You should actually avoid it. And when you encounter something like this, you should also not respond back with similar levels of bullying or aggressiveness, but instead, you should be kind to that person. They're probably having a pretty rough round. Judges, I can't believe I have to give a response to this thing they just did. It wasn't a speech. They made no points. And honestly, I believe we all lost a lot of brain cells listening to them. Their sheer misunderstanding of this topic, of what microtransactions actually are, and the fact that you have a choice to pick whether you spend money or not, proves that this entire motion is pointless. My opponents have failed to understand that because for some reason, consumers are so important. It's their choice, bruh. Let them make the choice. If they sit here and tell you we should care about people making bad choices, people do that every day. I've seen some of you drive. So because of that, we think you should focus on the arguments here that we can control. Don't think about emotions and the stuff they're focusing on. Oh, well, we have to protect people. People should be able to protect themselves. My opponents couldn't do it looking at that terrible argument they made, and you shouldn't do it for them. They should lose, and you probably should give them as few speaker points as possible, because that was the worst speech I've ever heard. Judges, in today's debate, our opponents have spent a lot of time talking about us and not the arguments that we've highlighted. So we want to bring the debate back to the arguments that we're making and why we think these arguments are the ones you should evaluate. First, our opponents made the argument that we shouldn't care about the people because it was their choice. They shouldn't have made bad choices. And they tried to connect that to, saying that we could also make bad choices. But our entire argument here is that the idea of an objective fair choice does not exist. And instead of attacking us and focusing on whether or not objectively a game can be played without the microtransactions, they choose to attack us. And this is an example of, we think, not responding to our argument. And we really want you to focus on the fact that the objective playing field is the place that we actually are winning the argument. On to the next argument. The third form of speaking trait would be the over-organized speaker. Sometimes as debaters, we believe that each argument we make is so important and we have to share every part of that argument. Well, when you have subpoints on subpoints on subpoints, judges can't follow along. You lose their attention. And then we begin to blame them for us not winning a debate, when in actuality, it was the way we delivered our speech that was the problem. Judges, we're winning this debate for 4 reasons. First, revenue for developers is extremely important. We have to make sure that the people that are making the game gets the money that they need so they can live. This leads to our sub-point A, which is families matter too. They only want to talk about the consumers, but what about the families? Little A, what about little Johnny? He wants something for Christmas. They're not going to be able to get him anything because they want to cut the developer's revenue stream off, and that's uniquely bad. On to my second point is consumer choice. They want to make you believe we don't have a choice, but you have plenty of choices. Little A, you can buy an Xbox. Little B, you can buy a PlayStation. Little C, you can get a Nintendo Switch. What do all these things equal? Choices. So to say you have to spend the money is not true. You always have the choice. You can buy different games. There are games that you can pay for all up front. Are there games you can pay for at the end? That's my little A and my little C on actually my third point, which I'll get to right now, which is the actual models that they use. There are so many reasons, Judge. We've given you at least 9 reasons why you can vote against them, and that takes out all their arguments, and that's a reason you vote for us. Judges, in today's debate, you've heard a lot of arguments. We're going to use one to prove to you why we are the team that is superior in this debate. We've told you that exploitation of consumers should be the primary concern that you have, and our opponents have come up and told you several things. They've told you that, well, that means that governments will overreach and produce more regulations that makes it harder to make video games. They said that the model itself is set up to allow people to play freely however they want. And then their argument is that we have to think about the people that make the video games and how much money they make. But listen very closely how none of their arguments takes into perspective the consumer and whether or not playing the game is objectively fair. We think prioritizing the objectivity of the game supersedes all of their arguments because their arguments are worried about secondary issues that take place with the game. They're not worried about the actual consumer experience or ensuring that a fair and equitable game can be played. And it's for these reasons we would urge a pro ballot. And the final thing that we'll discuss today is how we treat our partners. In most debate competitions, it requires that you work with another person, sometimes 2, 3, and even 4 additional people. And in that relationship, the way that we treat them, the way we present ourselves with our partners, all are influential. So don't be mean to your partner. Don't be short with them, and don't belittle them. Don't blame them for anything. Judges, in today's debate, we believe that banning micro transactions is uniquely bad in video games. And okay, I'm sorry, I'll go faster. And we have several reasons. The first one I'll share with you is that revenue for developers. Developers have to be able to actually make money on the things that they make, or else they won't want to make the things. Okay, I'm going to move on to my second point, which is consumer choice. Consumer choice means that are there any POIs? Okay. I'll take a POI if someone wants to ask me Judge. Our final argument the final argument we'll make today is that free to play models are actually pretty good. That they allow people to be able to experience video games in a much more effective way, and it's for these reasons that we oppose the motion.
That was terrible. That was horrible. What were you doing?
So work on changing that and work on changing all the other speaking traits back to things that are more persuasive, things that ensure that we get the results we want when speaking.